How are we gonna live sustainably on a surface on another planet?
Normally you wouldn't think I would want to build a rocket or try to solve a Mars challenge, but this course gives you the perfect excuse.
I really like the fact that it's a real competition.
But you realize that you learn how to think.
And now this is possible.
One of my favorite moments was at the beginning of the course. We got to talk with one real astronaut. We did a Skype video call, and that was really cool. He was explaining us how this ICED methodology works.
So in the core of the EPIC Challenge program, there is a methodology developed by an astronaut, Dr. Charles Camarda, called Innovative Conceptual Engineering Design, ICED for short. And this is the methodology that we follow throughout the course. Basically, what this methodology tells us or guides us to do is present to our teams a EPIC challenge. And once teams are presented to the challenge, they start learning about it together as a team.
Everything is very independent, and it's very good because I'm not used to work this way. I'm usually where in previous university, everyone tells you what you have to do and every step you have to follow. So here it's like you can do whatever you want, and you realize that that's the way you learn the most.
After they learn enough about the challenge and the circumstances that this challenge is placed in, then they can start generating ideas. And once they have all these ideas, they are ready to start actually testing them. And in the end, they will get one prototype as a solution to the big EPIC challenge.
So the best thing about working with EPIC Challenge is you get to work in this awesome lab called Paya. So they have a laser cutter, they have a 3D printer, and they have lots of other heavy equipments with which you could start like creating your stuff. There's even like a soldering machine that you could use to create your circuit board. So we had a lot of teams who built their own circuit board, built their own devices in order to solve their problem. And with the facility, you can actually create your prototype.
It was cool to use laser cutter as well as wood cutter, and then we were able to make something truly functional from some stuff which we have at home. And it's really nice because sometimes you even don't think that these things can make a difference.
The practical, like when you build something with your hands and you try to make it as good as possible, that was really cool for me. Because in university we usually read articles, and from the articles we kind of, take the knowledge of what did people did and how did they do, and results and then conclusions. So in real life this is not always the truth. So I'm really happy about the fact that we built a prototype with our hands, and we've seen a lot of physical property that we just assume that theoretically they'll be there, but it's not always working the way we want to work. So for me that was really cool. Building that prototype gives us a little bit of physical touch to what we study.
In the EPIC Challenge course, we really put emphasis on experimenting. Very often what happens is that people, without testing things, make decisions and then realize that something went wrong when it's actually too late. It doesn't matter if we are just talking about developing a new product, or we are talking about a new service, or we are just simply talking about making a design for a customer or something like that. So in order to avoid this kind of realizations that come too late, we are encouraging our students to learn how to design experiments early on.
The course was about space, and it was like very interesting because it's the only course that I have found which is themed by space, and it was very interesting even that NASA was like involved in this course.
What could be a more epic challenge than how are we gonna live sustainably on a surface on another planet? And this is why all our EPIC challenges are in some way related to sustainable habitation of Mars.
Without this course, normally you wouldn't think I would want to build a rocket or try to solve a Mars challenge, but this course gives you the perfect excuse where you could start working with it, playing with it. And once when you see your thoughts and while you're playing with it, once when it comes to life, it suddenly changes. You're like, okay, now this is possible.
I'm happy because I realized that this is one of the courses that at first it doesn't seem very important or that you're going to learn a lot, but you realize that you learn how to think. At first it starts like a game because at the end there is a competition, but then you realize how many things you have to do.
Students get in the end to test their prototype in an actual competition with other teams that are solving the same epic challenge. So this way, we introduce a little bit of a competition, a little bit of live testing of which ideas from our teams are better.
And also one of the great things of this course is the fact that at the end of the course we have the opportunity of going to USA to the Kennedy Space Center. So that's a good motivation for me.
The father of the EPIC Challenge program and the ICD methodology, Dr. Charles Camarda, is a NASA astronaut with whom we collaborate a lot throughout the course. There's many ways of collaboration that we do with Dr. Camarda. One of those is online Q&A sessions where he sets aside an hour or two to just chat with our students, have a Q&A session with them and answer some of their questions that they might have. But also we had an opportunity to host him here in Joensuu. He has been visiting us maybe 2 or 3 times already to see what our students have been doing. But also Dr. Camarda organizes exhibits for EPIC Challenge in US. So we also visited the Kennedy Space Center a couple of times where we could, visit the premises of the Kennedy Space Center and also meet EPIC Challenge students from the United States.
One of the most interesting thing that you could get out of this course would be trip to NASA. Second would be contacts that you would gain. We work with professors, researchers, so you could always send them an email, especially if you are new to that field. You could send them an email and ask them how they could direct you. So this way you can form a direct link with these people. Besides these things, I would say other things that you get out of it is friendship, because all the teammates that I've been working with, I have a pretty close bond with them. I've made lots of friends through this.
Our team is really friendly. We met several times together, and it was really nice. I think we enjoyed working.
At first, everyone were very quiet, very shy, and then we ended up being friends.
Everybody was so different, but not in a bad way, but it was you get to know these different roles and places where people live.
When we think about these EPIC challenges, they are quite complex and they reach across many different disciplines. So this means that it is not possible to solve this challenge just by, for example, taking engineers. So this is one of the reasons why we are looking for having multidisciplinary teams. So, students that maybe study design or that study architecture or they study education or they study, of course, computer science, engineering and all. But basically all these different branches are equally represented and can contribute to solving this big challenge.
It's kind of hard to create a communication between people with a different background. Usually in real life we are dealing with people from our area of sciences, so it was hard at first, but then it gave us a lot of new ideas which were generated by team members who are from pharmacy or business. So I think it's really nice to have this multidisciplinary team and approach to create some innovative solutions and to have fun as well.
It was very interesting in my challenge that because we were from different backgrounds, we got different solutions, and it was very creative and colorful.
In the Epic Challenge course, we select our teams and form our teams so that we cross or touch across all these different disciplines. And we encourage them, to share their own knowledge together as a team. This is something that will be beneficial for everyone, basically. How to effectively work in a team and as a team.
You will succeed and fail together, and when that happens, you really create a very strong connection. And this strong connection is also really useful because even right now I have connections with my team members, and we have lots of innovative ideas that we want to start implementing. There's so many different things that you could do. You could be working with something really new, and most of all, you will have fun because it's not very rigid structure that way you have to do everything in a certain way. So you could work around with how you want to work and bring your idea to life.